Hey, so I feel like my entire life I have been a victim of my family's patterns. I've been a victim of the patterns of my DNA and of my, yeah, the family history, the family, mm, the blob of family accumulated stories, I guess. So there was no room for my story in this story because I was living previous stories over and over and over again without even realizing it. And now I'm becoming more aware of it, and it's really great. So, for example, I actually decided to start these YouTube videos because I would like to become someone. I haven't found the right word yet because I find the word coach and they all are so loaded. And basically, I just want to co-create with other people and enable them to shift into their higher potentials. That's what I would like to do, and at the same time learn from them. And I started creating these YouTube videos, and I looked at them, and it was really interesting to see my own reaction to the videos that I had actually created, because I was so self-critical, and I noticed that there was a sense of like, oh yeah, the self-worship, and it's kind of embarrassing to even admit to that, but I think I'm uncovering where that comes from. And then at the same time, I saw this little child that was really insecure and was looking for approval, so I felt really insecure about actually posting the videos. And I posted them, and then I saw that a couple of people had watched them and nobody had left a comment, and then I automatically deleted them again because I was so self-conscious about what are people going to say about me, about what I'm saying, about where I'm at, about my state of evolution and all this shit. And then that in itself was really valuable to question, to ask what is the root of this, like my reaction. And it is an interesting process because it went into a lot of self-judgment, I guess, but I asked myself, where is this coming from? And where I'm at right now in my understanding and perspective is that it comes from my mother's template and her relationship with her parents and my grandfather. And so there's been a very strong me playing out the stories of that, and I'm going to explain that a little bit deeper, I guess. So I guess I could go into like how I detected this. My grandfather was kind of a self-worshipping. He was very. He was like in a way he was the teacher, the know-it-all teacher that thinks that knows everything, and I think I've adopted that without being consciously aware of this energy. And my mom was. Yeah, so I guess what I felt in the last few days was my mom's wish to approve of him, but at the same time, she took her mother's side, and I'm not really quite where I'm going with this. I feel like I'm getting really confused in all of this, but I guess that's okay too. So, okay, clarity is lacking right now. So, I guess I could start where I've really started noticing this template kicking in this relationship was when I decided to leave Germany. I really questioned my motivation for doing so because I feel like I felt so many people's pulls and impulses, and people wanted me to be here, to be there, to do this and to do that, and because I'm so sensitive I can feel all those things. So I've always had a lack of clarity as to what is it that I actually want, and what is my intuition, and what is my direction, and who am I in this whole thing, in this whole smorgasbord of stimulation and creation. So I decided to return to Vancouver, and one of my thoughts that I was having and the motivations that triggered me to move was this thought that this fear that there's going to be another war in Germany because there's so much havoc and so much controversial energy and confusion and different groups with different values, and that triggered something really deep inside of me. So when I decided to leave, I had that part of the equation, but also this other part was this nostalgic feeling, and that all of a sudden I could see everything that I would be leaving and what I was missing, and I got really sad about leaving my family that I didn't really feel that close to when I wasn't deciding to leave. It was mostly when I decided to leave, I just started to get so sad and so nostalgic for Germany and my Heimat, home, which is like this deep sense of home and belonging, that I would be leaving. And I questioned my mom about this, and I asked her about what time my grandparents actually left the Netherlands after World War II in the early 50s, I believe. No, mid-50s, to emigrate to Australia. And she told me that it was in the beginning of May, which was exactly when I left Germany. I flew to Vancouver the 1st of May, so I found that super fascinating because I wasn't sure if I was actually leaving Germany for my own sake or if I was reliving this pattern, and I'm still not sure. But I guess I will know once I clear this pattern more so what it is. But I guess the interesting part of that is that all of these feelings have been kind of slowly bubbling up to the surface. My mom never told me much about her relationship because she suppressed a lot, and I guess that is slowly starting to open up within me. But my grandmother never wanted to leave the Netherlands, so she was always wanting to go back. And my grandfather, it was very demeaning to her. She was from the countryside, and he was smart and clever, and he had the whole future in front of him, and he kind of blamed her for his inability to bring his potentials career-wise into the world, because then they got pregnant with my mother. So my mother was not really entirely a wanted child. And he was very demeaning in the way to my grandmother that he would call her she was just a stupid girl from the countryside. So there was this like dichotomy, like stupid and clever game playing out. And so I think my mom always had felt like she needed to be clever. And this is where I come in. I remember that as a child, I guess I was pretty wise and I always wanted to do things by myself. But I mirrored her father to her. I constantly felt like I was shaming her and like being the know-it-all, better, like, oh, who are you? Like, you're just a stupid child. I felt like I was mirroring that to her all the time. And when I realized that, I felt really sad. Because, yeah, it's shitty. And it's the same for my grandmother. You know, I carry that within me, that stupid little girl energy, that who are you to know, right? And then at the same time I carry my grandfather in me, who's the know-it-all. And I mean, in the end they're both the same. It's just a flip side of the coin, and I need to find the flip to switch. No, oh, what is it again? I need to flip the switch. I need to become aware of what it is, and I guess what is it? The need to be smart. It's almost like the self-worth is tied to being clever, talented, and special in a way, and to birth new knowledge into this world, and if you don't do that, then you're automatically useless or something like that. So right now I'm noticing how these patterns are becoming clearer and they're coming from my unconscious into my consciousness. And it's interesting because I'm becoming aware of my spending habits, and my grandfather was a great spender, so he was in total denial of the financial situation. He always thought that magically money is going to fall in his lap, and he always kept spending more money than he had. And they had 6 children in the end, and my grandma was at home and she had to do everything by herself, raise the children by herself. So my mom, when she was 16, she actually started working because she felt bad for my grandmother, because my grandmother was helpless and all alone. And that is, I think, one of the major link-ups where my mom started suffering with my grandmother, and where she suppressed her own dreams and her own path. Because my grandfather was not a reliable partner. He was not reliable at all, and he was also always with another woman. He was constantly cheating on her with other women. So my grandma lived in this constant state of fear that she was not going to have someone to finance her and her family, and that she was going to be by herself in another country that she didn't even like, with no means. So it's this big blob of helplessness and powerlessness and inability to succeed. So I guess that also translates to me shutting off my feelings in a lot of ways, because that's also a family pattern of there was no time for children to have emotions and to be sensitive. There's just no time for that. So now I'm learning my coping mechanisms and how I've suppressed my feelings and how I'm still drawn to it because I haven't cleared the pattern. So for example, coffee is a big link-in for me, that when for a few days I eat really healthy, and then all of a sudden I will feel this craving for something to suppress my feelings and my emotions, because I have some kind of belief systems that my feelings are too much and that I'm going to be abandoned if I feel. And I guess for my survival, I cannot allow myself to do that because I'm just a child. So there's like some really deep belief systems running there, and also that is tied to I have to work hard to make money. Like I can't follow my dreams. I have to actually sacrifice my dreams and work hard to have a reliable and stable income. And I want to give credit to a video that I watched from the authenticity process that I watched with Erin, and in it there was Matthias Manza, and they were talking a lot about similar patterns and of the family ecology. That so I noticed a lot of similarity in that, and that really gave me food for thought and for exploration. So I guess me feeling had something to do with survival, fear of survival as a child, and like not being taken care of. That if I'm too much, then I'm just going to be set aside. And I remember that playing out in my family's relationship too, where I always felt like my mom wanted to go back to Australia to be with her. I miss my mom. She said to me, I want to go back to be with my mother. And as a child, that was petrifying for me to hear. So I actually turned into a helpless victim in order to prevent her from leaving me. And then she would take care of me. But really, in a way, I was also mirroring her own helplessness. So yeah, I guess that's that. And I'm setting the intention to clear this at the root and clear out all belief systems that being sensitive is not good, and that I can't make money with that, and that I can't make money with creativity. I guess that's like with things that I don't have to work hard. Like physical labor is really big in my family, that I have to work hard physically. And that the other way is kind of odd. From a German Dutch kind of background, just working hard. Mental work or creativity is like, it's almost like painting pictures or something. Is like, that's something a little child does. It's nothing that you can actually really make money from or with. Yeah. So I guess those are some insights that I wanted to share today. And yeah, and that goes into this whole feeling of that I need to go and get a job, I need to work, instead of dealing with my feelings. And that also comes from that deep survival need, that also that working is more important than dealing with myself and my inner child. And I guess that was one of the major things that was actually blocking me from doing any kind of work, was that fear that I was going to be abandoned. If my mother goes to work, nobody is there for me to feel with me. So I want to weave that together somehow so that I can do that as my job and with my job and all the time in my life. And maybe this work is of value to some people, and if you would like to work with me, then please feel free to contact me. I would love that. So thank you for listening, and I wish you a good day.